everything else down. So I'm bringing down my 5x plus 4. I'm bringing down my symbol. And I'm also going to bring down that plus 6x. Like I mentioned earlier, it should be very obvious what you did. What changed from the blue to the black? What changed was right here. And you hopefully can see why it changed. Because we got rid of we distributed by getting rid of those parentheses. Okay? So we did the first step, we distributed. Our next step is to combine like terms. That's on each side, we're not moving anything yet. So on my left-hand side, I cannot combine anything. There is no like terms. This one has an x, this one has a whole number, I can't combine anything. So I'm just gonna bring that down. Bring down my symbol. On the right-hand side, I do have like terms. Both of these have x's, which means I can combine them. And remember, when you combine them, you have to use the number and the symbol in front of it. I'm going to bring down my 6, and when I combine like terms, negative 3x plus 6x gives you plus 3x. Because negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. So that was my second step. I combined like terms. Moving on to the third step, it says move the variable to the left. Here's my variable. I'm going to move it over here. This is where you ask yourself those questions. What are we moving? We're moving the negative or the plus 3x. How are we going to do that? We're going to do the opposite operation. Right now it's adding. The opposite is subtracting, and that's how we move it. So I'm subtracting 3x to move it to the left-hand side. Whatever I do on one side, I have to do exactly the same thing on the left. Here's where there's a common mistake. Notice where I'm putting that 3x, guys. I'm not just putting it anywhere. I put it under the 5x because that's where it can be combined. That minus 3x cannot be combined with 4 because they do not have the same terms. So notice where I put them. That's important. That's going to keep you organized, and it's going to keep you from making mistakes. Again, working from the left to the right, 5x minus 3x gives me 2x. Bring down your plus 4, bring down your symbol, and bring down your 6. This becomes 0 and it's no longer there. So that was step 3. Move the variable to the left. Now we're going to move the constant to the right. Here's my constant. I'm going to move it by doing the opposite operation. So because it's a plus, I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. Always working. And again, look where I put that minus 4 under the constant, which is where I'm going to combine it. Bring down my 2x. 4 minus 4 becomes 0. It's gone. Bring down my symbol. 6 minus 4 is 2. My last step, number 5, solve for the variable by doing the opposite operation. So to get this x by itself, I have to get rid of the 2. What's the 2 doing now? Sayla? It's multiplying, and the opposite of that is dividing. I have x left on the left-hand side. I am dividing by a positive number, so that does not affect my sign. My sign stays the same. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. We need to graph this. Who can help me to graph it? 0, and I'm going to put a 1 in there. How do I graph it?
Close circle on the 1.
Yep, filled in dot.
And then move it to the right.
And it points to the right. So quick review. This line under it means that the dot has to be filled in, which means it is included. And it's pointing to the right with our symbol. Our graph is also pointing to the right. So I need some possible solutions that match this answer. Give me a possible solution. 1 works. Give me another possible solution.
5.
That works. Give me another possible solution.
4.
That works. Does negative 3 work?
No.
No. Does 0 work?
No.
No. Does 1 million work?
Yeah.
Good, we're on the same page. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So I'm going to refer to those same steps. The first step says to distribute. There's two distributive problems in this inequality. We're going to do both in one step. Just to be clear, we are multiplying -1/2 by both of these terms. Over here, this negative is like a -1. We're multiplying both of these terms by a -1. So again, working from the left to the right, -1/2 times 2x. Half of 2 is 1. A negative times a positive is a negative. So when I multiply these, I get -x. Is there questions on that so far? Before anybody gets lost? Okay. Half of 6 is 3. A negative times a negative is a positive. So this should be +3. I distributed that -1/2 to both of those terms in the parentheses. I'm going to bring everything else down with me. On the right-hand side, I'm multiplying by a -1. When you multiply by a -1, it's basically like changing the signs. So this x is a positive, it's now a negative. This 3 is a negative, it's now a positive. If that doesn't make sense to you, we can say -1 times +1 gives me -x. -1 times -3 gives me +3, however you want to look at it. And then bring down that +2x. So I distributed. Second step is to combine like terms. There is lots to combine. But be very careful that you don't cross this line. You can combine over here. You can combine over here. Don't move anything yet. On the left-hand side, I have -x and +x. What does that give me? -x plus x. Jazzy?
Just x?
No. What's -1 plus 1?
Zero.
It's 0. It's a mind bender. -x plus x gives me 0. That goes away. I also can combine the 3 minus 10. What's that give me?
-7.
Good. So this whole side consolidates and simplifies to -7. I'm going to bring down my sign. On the right-hand side, my variables, -x plus 2x. What does that give me? What's that give me? Good, because -1 plus 2 gives me 1, or just plain x. This 3, don't forget about it. It has to be brought down. So look how much progress we made in just one step of combining like terms. So step 3 says move the variable to the left. Here's my variable. There's nothing over here, and that's okay. We're going to move it. Whatever symbol's in front of it, we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to put it over here because I cannot combine those two because they're not the same terms. So on the left, I have -x minus 7. Bring down my symbol, and I have 3 left on the right. So that was moving my variable to the left. The next step says move the constant to the right. Here's my constant. I'm going to move it by doing the opposite operation. So I'm going to add 7 to make that one go to the right. And also do the same thing on the right to keep my inequality balanced. Bring down my -x. Bring down my symbol. 7 plus 3 gives me 10. Another mistake that I've seen a lot of is losing that negative. Somehow either you forget or I'm not sure what happens, but make sure that negative is there. This is -1 times x. So that means I'm going to divide by -1. Whatever I do on the left, I have to do on the right. As soon as I do this, what do I have to remember to do? Flip the sign. So when I do my work, as soon as I do that divide by -1, I flip my sign so I don't forget. This is the special rule. I have x left on the left-hand side because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. On the right, 10 divided by -1 is -10. So this is my answer. When I graph it, I have a hollow dot on -10, and my graph is pointing in the same direction as my symbol. So far, so good? That one was a tough one. Is there any questions on that one? It had all kinds of stuff going on there. Okay, the last one. So let's go through our steps. Distribute. There is nothing to distribute. We don't have a step 1. Step 2 says combining like terms. On the left-hand side, 7 minus 3 can be combined. There's nothing to combine on the right. On the left, 7 minus 3 gives me 4, and bring down my 2x. Bring down my symbol, bring down everything on the right. So again, you should be able to backtrack and see what you did in that step. Everything's the same here. The 2x came down. What changed? That 4 is what I did. Move the variable to the left. Here's my variable. I'm going to move it to the left by doing the opposite operation. When I do that, I'm going to bring down the 4. 2 plus 1 gives me 3x. Bring down my symbol, and I still have a 25 on the right-hand side. Step 4 says move my constant to the right. Here's my constant. There's a plus in front of that, so I'm going to subtract 4. Bring down my 3x. Bring down my symbol. 25 minus 4 gives me 21. And my last step says solve for the variable by doing the opposite operation. I need to get this x by itself. Remember those questions we asked. What do I need to get rid of to get the x by itself? What do I need to get rid of? You're a step ahead of me. What do I have to get rid of to get x by itself? 3. And what's the 3 doing now? It's multiplying. And what's the opposite? Division. So we're going to divide both sides by 3 to get that x by itself. On the left we have x. Bring down my symbol. I do not flip my symbol because I'm divided by a positive number. 21 divided by 3 gives me 7. When I graph it, I have a filled in dot on 7 because it's included and then we have a line under it. And my symbol points in the same direction as my graph. Give me some possible solutions. Possible solution. -2 works. Possible solution.
7.
Yep, 7 works. Possible solutions. 6 works. Give me one more. -10 works. Anything negative would work. So again, if you have trouble with this last step, draw your more numbers on the number line to give you guys kind of a better idea of it. So we know 6 would be here, we know 5 all the way to 0, and then on the other side of 0, -1, -2, -3, and so on. Okay? Any questions on this last problem?